When I was a young attorney many years ago, I once had a judge pull me aside and say, Derek, if you can handle a DUI case, then you can handle any criminal case. Kind of shocked me at the time, but now, many years later, I understand exactly why. So I'm going to break down why a DUI case is so complex. Hi, I'm attorney Derek Martin with Driver Defense Team. Our law firm is in Chicago. We represent people on hundreds of DUIs every year. We fight all those DUIs. Many of them we wind up going to trial on. And so we got a lot of experience handling DUI cases. And so all I want to talk about today is why does a DUI case get so complex? Now, they're not often the most serious case, right? Like you can think of more serious things that can occur other than a DUI. Now, there can be very serious ones. There can be accidents, injuries, death, right, with a DUI. But you know, people generally think of a murder or a bank robbery or things like that as far more serious than your average DUI. And they are more serious, but they're not more complex usually. It's very rare to find a case that is more complex than a DUI. So why the heck is that? Well, first of all, with a DUI, there are actually two cases combined into one. It's strange if you haven't been through it before. But what I mean by that is there's one, the criminal charge. A DUI is always a criminal charge in Illinois. It can be a misdemeanor or it can be a felony, but it's always a criminal charge. But on top of that, you also have the defendant's driver's license issue. So the Secretary of State down in Springfield can suspend your driver's license when you get a DUI. I've created a bunch of videos on that topic. We're not going to go into it here. But the point is that suspension of the driver's license is different than the criminal case. One of them's through the court and the other one's really an action taken by the Secretary of State. So it's a civil or administrative action. Those two things get combined because obviously the person who's charged with the DUI cares about both, right? Both the criminal charge and the effect upon their driver's license. So us as a law firm wind up handling both. So right off the top, you've kind of got twice the amount of work, twice sort of the motions, the burden of proof, the paperwork, all those things. So that right there adds to the level of complexity. But also, DUIs are really, really common. Right? Like there's a lot of DUIs throughout Illinois. There's 102 counties in Illinois, and I'm willing to bet that all of them have DUI cases going on right now. So what that means is that judges are constantly ruling on DUI cases. Some of those cases get appealed, right, up to a higher court, and then those opinions from the higher court get published, or those rulings get published, right? And so that is what we call case law. Case law is a body of law that's developed by other judges' opinions or rulings. And so those can then control how your case gets handled or what is allowed or not allowed with your case, right? Simplifying things here, but the more DUIs there are, the more case law that is created. And a good DUI lawyer will understand and know all that case law. And the case law is always changing. There's always updates. So that is something that requires constant maintenance, constant education. And I would venture to guess that it changes more for DUI cases than it does for a lot of others. Another thing is that there's just a lot of evidence in a DUI case. These days, most police departments have video. And so that can be video on the dashboard of the police cruiser. That can be video on the officer's body-worn camera. That can be video back at the police station where the breathalyzer's done, the booking room, the jail cell itself. There can be video from intersections and other businesses nearby. There can be private video, right? Many other drivers have dash cameras or even will pull out their phone when something happens. So lots of videos. There's also lots of written reports. Those can be arrest reports, standard field sobriety test reports, breathalyzer reports and certifications and certificates and receipts. There can be lab reports. There can be because there can be blood tests and urine tests. There can be medical reports, obviously. Many times people will go to the hospital in some way or another as a result of a DUI. So there is a lot of stuff, a lot of evidence, what we call discovery in a DUI case, more so than even some very serious cases. So that obviously adds to the complexity. And finally, I want to talk about the law itself when it comes to DUIs. Now, there are, generally speaking here, there are two elements of a DUI case. One is, was this person, the person who's charged with the DUI, were they in actual physical control of the vehicle? Now, that can mean a number of things. People think of it as driving, but you've also heard of DUIs where someone gets charged while they're sleeping, or they're in the back seat, or they're even outside of the vehicle. That is possible here in Illinois, to be charged with a DUI while you're not even driving. And that's because you're deemed to be in actual physical control of the vehicle. So what is actual physical control, right? I've created a video on that as well. We're not going to get into it here, but that's one question that's maybe not so clear. And that's the first element. That's the easy one. The second one is intoxication. That's an element, right? You have to be intoxicated to be convicted of a DUI. Now, a couple different ways that can be done. Now, it can be done with a blood, breath, or urine test. That will determine somebody's level of intoxication. If they're over the legal limit, you don't have to even prove that they're intoxicated. You can just show that they're over the legal limit. But the other way, especially if someone has declined or refused to do a blood, breath, and urine test, well, then there is no objective test that shows what this person's blood alcohol concentration was. So now the law says that person has to be so intoxicated that it rendered to agree that rendered them incapable of driving safely. I had to read that there. Intoxicated to agree that renders them unable to drive safely. It's kind of a mouthful, right? But what we're doing in that scenario is we are determining a matter of degree. So compare this to a bank robbery where you're trying to figure out, did this person do it? They either did yes or they did not no, right? A or B. But with this, with a DUI, it is a matter of degree, right? Someone can be intoxicated or not, and that's a whole spectrum, right? And so you're trying to determine someone's physiological state at a moment in time. Does that make sense? It's a difficult thing to do. Fortunately, it's a difficult thing for the prosecution to prove. But that is what's at stake here. That is what is being determined in many DUI cases. And that's not clear cut. It's not black and white. It's not over the line or not. It's a matter of degree. So I hope that you found this helpful. That reason and probably many more are the reasons that a DUI case is complex. And that judge who told me that many years ago was absolutely right. So I want you to think of this as you move through your DUI case. Whether we're representing you or somebody else, you should realize that it is a lot to it. And so these cases sometimes can take longer. They can be more complex. There are many yeah buts, right? Well, yeah, but, or this could happen, or this could happen, or maybe this, or maybe that. There is a lot of that when it comes to a DUI case, and now you know why. I hope that you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching.